Hello and welcome back to the 410. My name is Adrian Host and we're back on a Monday here on the 410. It's so good to be back, y'all. Day after the big game here, OKC the champs. We're going to talk about the big game last night. We're going to get into the Orioles, who have a little bit of a chance left to make the playoffs. We're going to talk about the Ravens as well. Big moves for them. Big expectations coming up this season for them. And we're going to get into the WNBA and get caught back up there. Of course, before we get into any of that, though, Kia of Catonsville on standby. Definitely getting you out of there in a clean ride. Make sure you ask for the 410 package when you go down there. And I'm telling you, you're going to leave out of there in something clean. All right, last night's big game, 8 o'clock last night. Everybody was tuned in. 3-3, Game 7, OKC. You know the 410, I already told you who was going to crown themselves champs this year. And of course, the game started out where I didn't know if it was going to go the same way that I thought it would. Tyrese Halliburton came out, hit him with 3 big three-pointers, let him know he was there to win the chip. And what happened, y'all? You know we all saw what happened. Tyrese, he went to make a move to the basket, about 5 minutes left in the first quarter. And what do you know? His Achilles gave out on him, and the whole building just went flat, y'all. Of course, SGA, he came out. He was ready to battle. He didn't care. He was going to shoot the ball every time if he needed to. But that changed the whole dynamic of the game yesterday. Of course, the Pacers, they fought all the way to the end, y'all. But without Tyrese Halliburton, you already knew what the outcome of this game was going to be. SGA, he got the MVP, y'all. He had 29 points, 12 assists, 5 rebounds yesterday. He had big help coming in from all different places there. J-Dub, he gave him 20. Chet gave him 18. Caruso came off the bench to give him 10. Kaysen gave him 10 off the bench. So they have a lot of people performing yesterday to get the job done for OKC. Just like I thought, they would crown themselves champs. 23 turnovers was the name of the game yesterday. Even if Halliburton had been playing, I don't know if they would have got the job done with Halliburton, but I think OKC, no matter what, their home court advantage was going to play a part, and they did exactly what they did all year long. In the third quarter, they locked down D all day long against Indiana Pacers without Tyrese Halliburton to hold on to the ball. There was just too many turnovers, too much for them to overcome. Obi Toppin, he had no points yesterday. Siakam, he only had 16 points. That's not going to get it done. Of course, in the finals, you got to play all the way to the end, y'all. So it was a great finals, y'all. It was exactly what we wanted to see. I hope Tyrese Halliburton can get healthy. But of course, just like Dame, we probably going to be missing him all year next year. I don't think we're going to see Indiana back in the finals anytime soon, y'all. And I'm disappointed that it went down like that because everybody's always going to say, hey, if he was playing, it would have went different. But I'm here to tell you, I told you from the jump, OKC was the strongest team all year. Their recipe for success was defense all year. And, of course, SGA chipping in, doing what he did all year. That was their recipe for success. I didn't see anybody that was going to get in the way of that this year. So, congratulations to OKC. I know we're going to see them again in the playoffs, pushing for the championship again next year. So, my goodness, they're going to soak up all of the rays of this championship, son, this year. And then they're going to get back to it next year, which is going to be a big year next year. A lot of action here because, of course, the draft coming up. KD, if you haven't heard, he's in Houston now. Desmond Bain, he's out there in Orlando now. There's a lot of pieces starting to move around in the NBA. All right, let's get into the Orioles where, of course, I've set my expectations, y'all. And, of course, I'm not going to sit up here and cry about them anymore. I think the writing is on the wall here for us this season. I knew that if we didn't go on a winning streak back then when I was crying about that Oakland series, dropping that game, that was pretty much going to be over for us. We haven't been able to do much of anything here lately except for pretty much play 500 ball. At that, we were at the Yankees yesterday. We lost that game yesterday in the 8th inning. We were up, and then, of course, they got 3 runs there, put us away. 4-2 was the score there. And, of course, our season, we're dwindling down here. It looks like we're at about 3.1% here. So, once again, not going to cry too much about the season. It is what it is, y'all. We started off slow. And, of course, we have some moving parts here. We got rid of the manager here, Brandon Hyde. We have to get a new leader in the dugout, even though Marcelino has been doing an admirable job down there. He's not the answer for us. Of course, we're going to have to do some rearranging on this lineup here. I see us making moves there with Adley Rushman not catching there, with Gary Sanchez catching. I'm feeling like we're getting Adley on the trading block. I'm feeling like we need to trade Gunner, because I don't think Gunner's going to re-sign with us, y'all. I think he's had enough here in Baltimore, and I know that hurts people to hear, but I'm telling y'all, I've been watching this thing all year real closely, y'all. It's time to cash in. So Gunner, Adley, we need to put them on the trade block. That's what it is. I know they're hometown favorites here, but we need to get all we can get back for them, because we need some pitching down there, and we definitely need some more talent batting. Of course, Colton Cowser, he's been playing really well. I like what I'm seeing out of him. Jackson Holiday, he's been playing really well this year. Up and down, though. Of course, we need him to get a little more consistent. Ryan O'Hearn, he's another name that somebody's probably going to pluck out of there and use him for a playoff push somewhere. So we have a lot of people that going to be looking for. The phones are probably ringing off the hook, and I know they're trying to make deals with us. So, of course, the Orioles, with a 3% chance to make the playoffs, look like they're getting ready to be sellers. And I'm sorry, y'all, but I saw this thing coming here just a week or two ago. I knew if we didn't get on a winning streak that it was going to be time for us to start selling some people off here. And so we're going to watch here in the coming days and see what happens. Of course, I'm hoping that some of the boys make the All-Star team. But with our record, I'm not mad if they don't give us a whole bunch of love there in the All-Star game. All right, let's get into today's game. Of course, we have Trevor Rogers going up against the Rangers here at 6:35. So once again, like I said, with a 3% chance to make the playoffs, every game is a must-win here for the Orioles. I'm going to still be watching. I'm going to still be rooting them on. But, of course, when we get down to 0% chance, we're going to be switching over gears here on the 410. We're getting into football season. But until then, go O's. We're going to see y'all down at the stadium as soon as they get back in town for sure. And I can't wait to get down there and show y'all all the love. I appreciate all the support. Everybody that's been waiting for me to get back on here. Well, here your boy go. I'm trying to tell you, it's been a long couple of weeks. I've been dying to get back on here and talk to you, but I've been making moves for the 410, and you know I got to make it happen for the 410. All right, getting into the Ravens now. Of course, we made the big splash there and got Jair Alexander on the roster. Lamar, he got on there. He said, DeCosta, we need Jair. And next thing you know, Jair was on the way. But it wasn't solidified that he was coming to town. He definitely was checking around, seeing what his options were. But they said as soon as he got into town, felt the love. Of course, he met with Lamar. It was a no-brainer. He signed up, and my goodness, our secondary is the best secondary in the league, and I dare somebody to tell me that somebody else has a better secondary than what we have. We have Marlon Humphrey. We have Nate Wiggins. We have Jair Alexander. We have Adubwe, I forget his name, coming from Tennessee. Big, hard-hitting cornerback out of Tennessee. Chidobe or Ozubwe, something like that. I'm going to have to check the tape on that one. Of course, we have Kyle Hamilton and Malachi Starks. Our secondary is solidified. We should be doing nothing but good things this year out there on the back end. It should give our pass rush more time to get to the quarterback. Should get more sacks this year. I can't wait to watch this defense in living color, y'all. All right, C.J. Mosley, of course, one of the Raven greats there. He went ahead and hung it up here. So, of course, we're going to show him the love here from the 410. C.J. Mosley, congratulations. Great career. But, of course, Mosley, he was a great player for us. He did nothing but great things here. I don't think we could pay him enough money to stay. So he went on. He chased his bag. I'm not mad at him for that. All right, y'all. Of course, they're looking like they're going to get the job done here. The Super Bowl run is ours. So we're going to keep watching the Ravens here in the offseason, watching them get ready for the opening day here. And, of course, against Buffalo, I cannot wait to watch us play with this new revamped defense we have. And, of course, the offense should be humming right out the gate. All right, WNBA here, y'all. Of course, we got to catch up here. It's been a couple of weeks here, so got to catch you up on that. We have no more undefeated teams in the WNBA anymore. Of course, the Lynx, Liberty, they've lost some games here. The Liberty actually have lost 3. The Lynx, they've lost 1 game here. So we're going to talk about yesterday's games, and we're definitely going to stay posted on this WNBA action. First game up was a big game here today for us. Chicago Sky against Atlanta Dream. two hometown girls going head to head. Angel Reese going up against Brianna Jones here. Of course, Angel Reese has been doing nothing but struggling on offense. Brianna Jones been consistent, double-double. Of course, Reese, she continues to struggle on offense, like I said, but she's going to get you those rebounds. But, of course, she's going to keep getting rebounds. If she keep missing the shot, getting her own rebound, she adding to the stats here. The Dream, they won this game 93-80. The Sky, one of the worst teams in the league, and it's not hard to see why. If Angel Reese, she can't make a shot, it's going to be almost impossible for them to get the job done. Even though she had 19 rebounds yesterday, once again, if she's missing all her shots, getting the rebound, putting it back up, she's padding her stats. Next game up was the Mystics going up against the Wings. Of course, the Wings, probably the worst team in the league. It might be 2 or 3 that are right there on tap with them. The Mystics, they're right there in the middle of the pack here in the league. They won this game 91-88, so it's very close. So you can see the margin of victory for the Mystics is not really big. Next game up was the Aces against the Fever. Of course, this was the big highlight game of the night here. Of course, you had Asia Wilson going up against Caitlin Clark. The Aces, they got the job done, even though they've been on a little slide here lately. They won this game 89-81. Caitlin Clark, she had a rough game shooting from 3 there. She was 1 for 10. That's really tough there, 10% out there. So, of course, that helped them win the game there out there in Vegas, getting back on the right foot there. Next game up was a Storm going up against the Liberty. Just like I talked about, the Liberty, they've been on a slide here since the big fast start they had early in the season here. They lost this game against the Storm 89-79. The Storm, they've been picking up their speed here as the year goes on. Like I said, the Liberty starting to tail off a little bit. We're going to keep an eye on them. Last game of the night was the Valkyries going up against the Sun. The Sun, also one of the worst teams in the league here. 87-63 was this score. The Valkyries got the job done. Once again, the Sun being one of the worst teams in the league, we can almost pencil them to lose every single game here in the WNBA. All right, y'all. That's all the time I have for you today. Of course, don't forget, K-Hill Electric on standby for any electrical needs you may have, whether they're big, small. You let them know exactly what you need. You let them know you heard about them here on the 410, and they're going to be on the way with the best service, best price in town. Once again, y'all, thank you for coming back, checking me out here. We're going to get back on track here on the 410. I've been working real hard, making stuff happen for you. Of course, if you haven't already, please subscribe to this. If you haven't already, like what you can, share this with whoever you can. Don't worry, the 410, we're not going anywhere, y'all. I can promise you that. The 410 is here to stay. No matter what you think, we're going to be right here. Once again, thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, please reach out to your family and friends. Don't forget all my service members, Marines especially. If you need any help, please don't be scared. Reach out to somebody. Let them know what's on your mind. If they're not going to reach out and touch you, please comment me right here on the 410. Adrian, yours truly. I'm going to get back to you. We're going to make sure we talk all about it, y'all. Until I see you again, please take care of yourself. Be safe. This is Adrian here on the 410.